Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. It's my pleasure, my honor to introduce to everyone Dr. Phyllis Schneck, who is the Chief Technology Officer for the public sector at McAfee, a leading provider of cybersecurity software. Ms. Schneck received her Ph.D. in computer science from Georgia Institute of Technology, where she pioneered the field of information security and security-based high-performance computing. In addition to her role at McAfee, she currently serves as the chairman of the board of directors of the National Cyber Forensics and Training Alliance. Ms. Schneck was named one of the top 25 women leaders in information security, and she also holds 3 patents in high performance and adaptive information security. Welcome, Ms. Schneck.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, Dr. Schneck.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Chairman Elmers, Chairwoman Elmers, Ranking Member Richmond, and members of the subcommittee. I am Phyllis Schneck, Vice President and Chief Technology Officer for the Global Public Sector for McAfee, testifying today on behalf of the Software Information Industry Association. SIIA is the primary trade association of the software and digital information industry, with more than 500 members that develop software and electronic content for consumers, business, education, and the Internet. McAfee, Inc. protects businesses, consumers, and the public sector from cyber attacks, viruses, and a wide range of cybersecurity threats. We're the world's largest dedicated cybersecurity technology company and a proven force in combating the world's toughest security challenges. McAfee is a wholly owned subsidiary of the Intel Corporation. We appreciate the subcommittee's interest in cybersecurity as it affects small business, which plays such a large part in our nation's economy. While small business falls prey to the same security risk as large business, most small firms cannot afford a dedicated security staff, nor do they have a $1 million budget to purchase enterprise security solutions. Nevertheless, small companies must meet the same security and compliance requirements as Fortune 500 firms just to remain in business. The importance of small business to the national economy cannot be overstated. According to the Small Business Administration, small firms represent 99.7% of all employer firms. They've generated 65% of new jobs over the past 17 years, and as Ranking Member Richmond mentioned earlier, they produce an order of magnitude more patents per employee than even the large patenting firms. Today's cyber threats are more sophisticated and targeted than ever. They're growing at an unprecedented rate. McAfee Labs finds, for example, that both malicious URLs and malware, they've grown almost 6-fold in the past 2 years, and in 2010 we saw more malware than in all of the years previously. One of the most insidious cyber attacks is a low-level incursion, sinks below the radar, quietly exploring and stealing the contents of the network. Security professionals call this an advanced persistent threat, or an APT, and McAfee has uncovered several over the past year. The most recent, Shady Rat, has been stealing valuable intellectual property from more than 70 organizations across 14 countries, including small firms, in addition to government contractors, nonprofits, and government agencies. And this is not an isolated incident. A 2010 survey found that 60% of organizations report a chronic and recurring loss of sensitive information. More than 1 million small businesses and retailers were victims of some type of information theft in 2010, with 56% of small and mid-sized businesses experiencing this type of banking-related fraud in 2010, and 75% of it coming from online sources. Among small business falling prey to bank fraud, 61% were victimized more than once. We're only as secure as our weakest link. To further help small business, we recommend 3 guiding principles to make the cost of security most effective. Practice risk management first. Next, minimize the amount of sensitive information retained in the network. And third, invest in the appropriate level of security. And finally, we have some policy recommendations. A heavily regulated approach would not necessarily make organizations more secure. It makes them more compliant, and it would stifle innovation. On the other hand, positive incentives and subsidies have a high probability of success in 2 ways. First, a higher chance of better actual outcome, and secondly, a higher probability of good legislative success. There are a variety of proposed approaches found on incentives, including the recommendations that we heard earlier from Representative Thornberry of the House Republican Cybersecurity Task Force, and some promising approaches on the Democratic side. We support the following approaches: litigation and legal reform, imposing limitations on liability for damages as well as for non-economic loss would remove a serious obstacle to information security investment, such as the risk of being held responsible for losses notwithstanding a company's good faith investment in good cybersecurity. Public-private partnership on information sharing. The Departments of Defense and Homeland Security manage many public-private partnerships. McAfee plays a key role in several. These partnerships aim to ensure that senior corporate and government officials share vital information and best practices, and they're especially important for small businesses. Competition scholarships, research and development help identify and recruit talented individuals that foster innovation in advanced basic and applied solutions and bring those individuals to the cybersecurity workforce. Tax incentives. Accelerated depreciation or refundable tax credits should be considered to encourage critical infrastructure industries to make additional investments in cybersecurity technologies, solutions, and human capital. The same approach could be effectively applied to small business. Insurance reforms. Because of the lack of actuarial data, government should consider implementing reinsurance programs to help underwrite the development of cybersecurity insurance programs, which could be phased out as insurance markets gain with cybersecurity coverage. In conclusion, let me emphasize that collaboration and cooperation between the public and private sector are key to addressing cybersecurity in a holistic way. Thank you for your interest, and I'll be pleased to answer any questions.